how to look. So here are your TEKS for speech. Hold on. Oh, chihuahuas, we went out of it. And in this document, I understand what you mean by the competency sort of not keeping all of it. So here you have the 3 domains, the communication processes, which is worth 31%. And over here on the side, it tells you what speech standards are being assessed in that domain. So it's standard 2 through 4, and then standards 11 and 12 make up that domain 1. And so we can go here, and I'll just open it up on the TE website so we can go back and forth. Your standards are like your Bible, and the exam, it is made of or created synthesizing the information in this document, your standards, with the TEXES TEKS, right? But they don't list them all. You have to look at the TEKS in order to see what knowledge and skills do the students need to get before they leave your classroom. So what speech or communication skills do 7th graders need? What knowledge, and then what should they be able to do before they leave your classroom, and in 8th grade, and in speech 1, and so on and so forth. So understanding the different knowledge and skills that are required of the students, and making sure that you know the knowledge that they have to know, and that you're able to do the skill that they're able to, that they need to be able to do. And likewise, not just be able to do the skill, but instruct, right? Assess and evaluate their performance as they move along, in your class. So we looked at the domain 1, and it is 2 through 4, and then it is 11 and 12. 2 through 4, 11 and 12. 2 through 4. I'm going to get my little handy dandy deal. Oh, that wasn't it. Two through 4 and 11 and 12. That's domain 1. So if you haven't already taken a very critical look at your standards, I'd like for you to print them and do so. Just a very deep reading and making sure that you understand the definitions of things that we're required to know and be able to do. So let me very quickly sort of overview the other.
And the speech standards can be found on the TEKS part, or?
No, you should have access to this drive. I'm not sure why you don't. But that would be like a bad on me. Let me see. Get link. Okay, so I am gonna put it for you in your chat. You'll be able to save it. If you can save it in your bookmarks, you'll be able to access it later. And it has the standards, it has the TEKS, the manual preparation. And so going back to what I was saying, the composition or the synthesis of your exam, which is this one right here, right? This is the makeup. And on this side, it has the domains and the competencies. And this is made from these 2 documents. And you're going to see that there's a lot of overlap, like the things that the students need to know and be able to do. There are also things that they are in our standards that we need to be able to do. It goes into much more detail in the TEKS often, as far as like specifics of what we should know to be able to accomplish our goals as laid out in the standards. So again, here are our standards, and standards 1 through 12. So we already know that standards 2 through 4 and 11 and 12 make up domain 1, and that is about 31%, not about, it is 31%. Oh, oops, I opened the wrong document. Are you able to open up the link?
That's what I'm trying to do right now. It's because right now I'm doing the Zoom through my phone, but I'm trying to connect it to my computer.
Oh, okay. Well, if you can't, I'll just send you the link in I'll send it to you right now, actually. I'm just gonna text it to you, and you can email it to yourself, the link. Let's email it also. Sources. All right. So you should have those. Now, taking a look at the speech, we'll find that your standards, they are found in the English language arts and reading TEKS, your specifics. Trying to remember what page, no, composition. Public speaking 1, 2, and 3. On page 33. So I always forget what, what exact. Let me see. In order to have full participation in the civic process, students must have good understanding of dialogue. So here's your introduction. And so what I'm going to want for you to do is to make sure that you are very familiar with what the students should know and what they need to be able to do. And so if they need to be able to have a skill, we have to have that skill too. And it's up for grabs in the, in testing. Let me see. Communication applications is also one of your courses that you have to know the TEKS for. So let's just go back up to public speaking and talk about the introductions. The introductions in the TEKS, and the TEKS are law, like it says right here, this is part of our actual law. So by law, you are required to know and be able to do these things, because the students have to learn and be able to do these things before they leave your classroom. So in order to have full participation in the civic process, so the main goal of public speaking for Texas is really to get people to be able to participate in their communities and in the civic process. Students must have a good understanding of public dialogue. Students must learn the concepts and skills related to preparing and presenting messages, and to analyzing and evaluating the messages of others. Within this process, students will gain skills in reading, writing, speaking, listening, and thinking, and will examine areas such as invention, organization, style, memory, and delivery. So one strategy that we utilize in English language arts and reading, and really in all learning, and we try to teach that skill and practice it with our student, is metacognition. Meta means meaning, cognition is thinking, and so it's your thinking of your thinking, you thinking about your thinking. So after we read this, try to put it in our own words, mostly about getting students to have the ability and knowledge to participate civically and engage in public dialogue. And so students, in order to be able to do that, they have to understand concepts and be able to do skills related to public speaking in order to analyze and understand or evaluate, people's messages, speeches. And that of course cannot be separated or isolated alone into, oh, this is just a speaking course. No, of course not. You're going to like brainstorm your ideas like you would in a writing class, and like do key points, revise and edit, like have practice doing it so that your annotation is, and the delivery is correct. And so listening, speaking, reading, and writing, those are the foundations of language, right? Are listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and all of them are utilized, practiced in your public speaking class. So if you didn't know what invention meant as it pertains to public speaking, then you should look it up. There's really nothing wrong. And the only reason I mention it is because like I don't really know the textbook terminology of what invention would be. And I guess it would be like a new way, like stylistically speaking, that's what possibly, and or the need for speech, maybe like examine areas like invention, and maybe we'll get into we'll see it better. Do you know the idea of invention as it pertains to public speaking?
Invention, no, not
Me
just
either.
off
So this is a
the.
really, really great opportunity for us both to just like Google really quickly invention. What you was, my thing's not working, like my computer's lagging, and I don't know what is wrong with my MacBook.
I wanted to ask, do you know any study guides, or
No way, it's not working.
do you know any study guides or like sample questions that we can find like on Amazon or anything related to the speech content exam?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, they might have some. The thing with that is that you're not like offered any sort of guarantee that it's good stuff, because anyone could put together like a manual and have it printed. And so it's best to make sure that you have a deep understanding of the TEKS and the standards. And we can talk about practicing some of those ideas. You watched the invention and speech topics. Okay, cool. Is the process of coming up for material. So that's what I thought, like, pre-writing, or like, what is the occasion? What does it call for? The inventing process, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. And that's no big deal because I have a master's degree in communication, but I don't know everything. I focused on different things, and that was kind of a long time ago. My neurological pathways might be full of debris, and looking things up and sort of reteaching, rereading is the most appropriate way to prepare for this exam. So a question might be, Javier, in Mr. Carizales's ninth grade public speaking class, students are having difficulty with the invention process. Which of the following activities would be most beneficial to get the students to master this process, or to move beyond this process? And they said most appropriate. And so they'll give you a list of things that you can do, like have the students dialogue with each other, getting ideas, have the students research topics from a list, have students participate in a group free writing or like brainstorming activities. And so you'll have to choose the one that is the best. And we already know that they want you to be listening and speaking and reading and writing with your students, just like you would in a reading class. And so you would have to be able to understand, based on what I'm supposed to be doing as a teacher, and they'll tell you in here about invention. I'm sure you have to sorry, the puppies are I don't know if I told you or not, but I have puppies. So strategies for providing speech instruction that encourage student engagement. Getting students engaged is sometimes hard when they're confused and they don't know what's going on. They're going to shut down. And that's one reason they might not be engaged. One moment, just 1 second. Well, they're so loud. Sorry, I'm gonna take this thing back to my office because I was watching them. So in order to engage students, and that's just pedagogy, that part doesn't have, that is not specific to like just speech, right? We so there are some research-based, science-based pedagogical practices, the art of teaching, the science of teaching, whichever you would like to call it. And we know it based off of years and years of research, what works best for students in order to promote their learning and their engagement in practicing skills that we want them to practice. And so getting to know your students, there's a very, very good video it is in the PPR section. Let me see, do I not have a speech one? I guess I don't. PE, dance, theater, social studies, science, trade, science. Okay, no. So in the PPR playlist, which eventually you'll have to view these here. And you know what, to be honest with you, they wouldn't be a bad it wouldn't be a bad idea to watch these. I know that they're lengthy, but you're going to eventually have to take this test. And a portion of your test actually comes from this, the pedagogy part, the strategies, like how we plan, why we do what we do for certain groups of students in order to make sure that they are successful, in mastering our objectives. And so we just read the objective of one of your TEKS, right? And our objective is like, we want them to be able to publicly speak. So in that public speaking class, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for them to practice public speaking. But that means that they're going to have to be inventing and pre-writing and doing all of that stuff. So in this,
La pizza deep dish Detroit style de Little Caesars con orilla de queso caramelizado crujiente.
So
judge it, but
I go over the theory, and then we also look at test questions, like how to break down the test question.
Student engagement during whole class discussion, is by having students answer questions on a piece of paper.
So we'll take a look at this one really quickly. So we break it down and I tell you what particular things within a question you should look at. If they give you an age group or a grade level, if they tell you a special population like special ed, GT, 504, RTI. I mean, we have like ELL students. Remember, we have some ELL students who are going to be learning English as a second language, and they may be in your classroom. And so they will be simultaneously taking public speaking and also acquiring the English language actively, right? Going through the different stages. So, whenever you're reading these questions, you got to pay attention to those keywords and phrases, because this exam is especially tricky because of the way in which that it's written, and there might be more than one appropriate response or most effective. Like there's two effective ones, but which one's the most effective? Like that's not fair. And that's really tricky. The trick to getting it right is paying attention to the details. The devil is in the details. So what is the goal of the teacher in this scenario? I always ask myself as I'm reading a scenario, try to ascertain the goal. What is the goal in this scenario? And I know this is PPR, but this is like much in the same fashion that your questions will be for speech, but they're just going to be related solely in the speech content. The PPR, you might have a couple of speech questions in there. It's not about speech though. It is literally about the pedagogy, right? It is about your application of instruction or assessment or implementation of effective instruction, what strategies you use. So this one, it says during whole class instruction. That during or time marker, that's important. If they're trying to tell you when something takes place, it's not for, you know, for no reason, I should say. They're telling you to tell you when something's happening because we do particular things during different times. So for instance, like in the beginning of class or in the beginning of a lesson or even in the beginning of a reading, we have different strategies for pre-reading or pre-writing or even pre-thinking. So this is during whole class instruction. Important. Where does this take place time-wise as far as our lesson is concerned? A middle school teacher. So now we have like age, right? And that gives you developmental, or should give you developmental sort of clues or hints about how the teacher, how the students might learn best based on where they are. So a middle school teacher realizes that most of the students are reluctant to participate in class discussions and give one-word answers when they do participate. Which of the following strategies is most effective for the student to use to increase student engagement? Now, this could very well be a speech question, like period, because this is, I'm telling you, it's very much the same. But so let's just pretend during whole class instruction for a middle school speech teacher realizes that most of the students are reluctant to participate when they're doing class discussions. During class discussions, and we want them to speak, to be able to speak, not just one word. We want them to be proficient speakers. We want to be, for them to have high oral language proficiency, right? All of them. Not even just the ones that are taking the speech class, but for sure in a speech class, we want oral language proficiency skills to be honed, to be practiced. So they got to be listening to all sorts of messages being said to them and also practicing as well, responding. So how would you rephrase what the goal is? What's the goal for the teacher in this scenario?
So it's basically to have them just basically not just give one word answers, but to give more of an elaborate answer and more of an open-ended. So we have to ask like more open-ended questions for the students to engage. Just looking at the answer choices, I want to say I lean more to B, but I'm kind of stuck between B and D, but I think I lean a little more to B.
Okay, great. And so that's the thing. There's always going to be two where it's like, and they told you, like, they don't even lie about it and they're not even shy. Like, it's like the most effective. Like, what are you talking about? The most effective. So there's other that might be effective. So let's take a look at them. When you're taking the exam, I don't want for you to ever like discredit or eliminate an answer choice too quickly. I want for you to assess all of your answer choices against the goal that you identify for the speech teacher in the scenario and the details that you identified, right? The specifics about the student, the specifics about, you know, timeline, the specifics about materials or teacher goals. Think about that, and weigh that against each answer choice. So we identified that this is something that happens during whole class discussion. Then they're reluctant. What does reluctant mean? They're scared. Sorry. They're scared to participate, right?
Yeah.
That's what reluctant means, like being scared, a little bit hesitant. How do you think assessing, pop quizzing them orally is going to work for increasing student engagement? Because after all, that's the goal. Will a oral pop quiz increase student engagement? Will it alleviate the reluctancy to speak?
No, I don't think so.
No, absolutely not. I can tell you, like, as I have done pop quizzes in my classroom just to check for understanding and whatever. And like, if people are confused and they don't know what's going on or they don't want to answer, like nobody's going to make eye contact with you. Like everybody's looking down or at the ceiling or I'm writing something on my paper. Please don't let her call on me. So yeah, definitely not the way to go. If the goal is to increase student engagement, we want the most effective. So yes, and this is called increasing your wait time. increasing your wait time. And science says by increasing your wait time, you will get more meatier, fruitful, especially with your ELL students, especially with your special ed students, but even with your native English speakers also. Everybody needs a little bit of time for my brain to like go through all the neurological pathways to think of what I want to say. And so if you move on too quickly without giving them time to think after probing questions, like you said, open-ended, thoughtful questions, not merely yes or no questions that leave no room for probing or investigation. So give them time. Extending a wait time after probing questions are asked is always going to yield better engagement, more rich discussions. And I'll give you another tip that I just used in my classroom. So before I do whole class instruction, I'll ask them the poignant questions. Like I'll ask them, think about it, write down your ideas, make sure you use complete sentences, guys. And then I'll say, okay, after, they have a little bit of time to think. Now turn to your partner. Think, pair, share with your partner and discuss your responses, how they're, alike or how are they different. And think, pair, share is another way for them to extend the wait time, right? Well, I'm increasing the wait time and I allow them to phone a friend, right? So now they're negotiating, meaning they're listening again for a message. It's practice again, listening, and they have to speak when they say their own. So it's such a good activity. And then so after I hear everybody like basically stop talking, I'm like, okay, guys, let's bring it back to class discussion. And if I don't even have to choose anyone, I'll say, and even kids who aren't even, everybody likes to feel smart and feel like they know stuff. And I've never met a student out of the 1,000 students that I've had, thousands of students, that didn't want to, just totally rock it out in the classroom and do well. If they were not doing well, were confused and had needs that were being unmet, then there were issues with classroom management or engagement or whatever, but those things can be fixed. And I guarantee you, if they are tweaked in such the right way, given particular supports, like just increasing the wait time allows people to be able to, and for you to be able to assess better. If they only give you one word answers because you're being too quick about it and maybe the questions are not quite as probing, then you're not really assessing their knowledge. Give them a little bit of time to really show you what they know. Give them a little bit of practice by hooking them up with a friend, and then we'll bring it back. Anytime I'd be like, okay, so who wants to share their perspective? Now more people want to say it because they already said it once. They might have said it twice if I have them turn to another partner. So just making sure that that we're doing those things, all of the strategies to try to increase wait time, instead of just like standing there and waiting, as they're thinking about it. Increase that wait time by having them write it down. Increase the wait time by having them do a think, pair, share. You can have them even do it twice. Now turn to your next partner on their other side. Think, pair, share. Because it's, again, a practice in listening, speaking skills, and it's really sort of non-anxious, like they don't have to be reluctant. It's just their peers and they get to negotiate meaning. So if I said like, oh, well, I think, I don't know what I think. I have to go in a little bit. I have a meeting at 2 and I think it's just a little bit over and it distracted me. I forgot where I was going with this, but using all of the strategies in order to help support our students, show us what they know.
When we're I have a quick, it's a really quick 2-part question.
Sure.
So one is really because you tested the exam, obviously, right? Because you were teaching speech and everything.
Well, I taught English language arts in reading, but yes, I have taken most of the exams, even the new PE one.
So you took the content exam for the speech then?
Yes, but it was a very long time ago.
Okay, but do you remember what exact resource you used?
Always the TEKS and the standards. Just always the TEKS. Yeah. Because there's not like a textbook for, but you know what, there is one. There's Mometrics, and it's really good about having all of the stuff that's in the TEKS, like that content specific stuff. But
yes,
the pedagogy, I think your best bet, Javier, would be to watch watch some of the videos on my YouTube channel concerning this. That first one is really good. I teach you how to analyze, how to break down the questions. And there's other ones that were particular to some of the things we were going over today, where it talked about students and diversity. There's one that's called Get to Know Your Students.
Because I'm looking at the Mometrics, it's a prep review. Well, it's like a sample, and it gave 20 questions. And just seeing a few of the questions here, it actually has, I kind of recall they're oblique to what I tested on. So that's why I think it might be worth it to try it out, because, for example, there's already like one question here that I'm seeing that says, which of the following series lists the elements of effective communication? And then, it says sender, receiver, message, channel, feedback, all of that.
Yeah, all of that's in the TEKS. All of that's in the TEKS.
Yeah. And then here it gives like
Let me
like
see
here,
if I have them here. I'm going to see if I have. Oh, I do. I'm going to give it to you right now for free. I'm going to put it in your thing. Okay.
to put one in my thing.
I'm sorry. In your, I'm just trying to be quick because we, right in here. Did it go or nah? I don't know why it's not. Okay, I need to download it first. So let me download it first. Okay, so those are the Mometrics book here. I'm gonna.
Oh, you have it? Oh, that is so.
Yes,
is
sir.
Super helpful if you're able to do that.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right here for you. So, so yeah, all this is the Mometrics. All they did was go and do a study guide of the TEKS. So they defined everything that's in the TEKS that the students need to know and what they need to be able to do.
Okay, and you sent it to me already?
Well, yes, I sent you the link to this, and so you'll have it right in there. I emailed it to you and I texted it to you. So either one.
Let me see here. Oh, yes, I believe I see it. And it's the whole book from what I'm looking at it right now.
Yes, sir. It's the whole book.
Okay. And this book, does it have like sample-based questions?
It does. They're not going to be rigorous though. They're just going to be like knowledge-based, like testing your understanding of like things like, what you described, the sender and receiver.
Yeah, because I noticed there was I think I told you there was a lot of intricate terminology and on the content exam. It's mainly the terminology that I was not familiar with. I mean, there was even a word that had a Z and X in there, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? You know what I mean? So that's all, like trying to understand the terminology, because it would give me the scenario, like what we were talking about, right?
Right.
Like, and that I was able to read like coherently. It made sense, but they were throwing in their words like, and then like in the answering the questions, and it's like, okay, that's the part where I kind of had to really, in its most literal definition, guess, because I did not know what it meant. I used context clues. I mean, I only missed the test by 16 points. It wasn't complete failure, but I feel like had I known some of the terminology, I could have definitely, passed. But there was just some things that I didn't get.
And so things like codes, you know what I mean? Nonverbal and verbal codes. The feedback loop, I think, was that they've been known to put on there, like a question about the feedback loop.
Yeah, like here I'm reading deductive reasoning, process of refutation. Yeah, I think this should help. I'll look more into it. And your YouTube channel, is it your name?
Yes, Stephanie Sauceda. And I'll send you the PPR link and stuff so that you can just have the what is it called? The link and the resources for, when you're done with this and you have to move on to study for that one.
Yes. Okay. That sounds good. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to continue looking over these and try the test again, basically.
Excellent. So I look forward to, let's talk again. I want to see, what sort of notes you do. I want you to make sure that you do a annotation of your standards, because the standards, that's your Bible. That's everything you need to know and be able to do as far as an educator is concerned. So make sure that you do read that, and any notes that you learn, jot them down there. Anything that you rewrite in your own way, that you look up visuals, solidifies that learning, just like it does for our students when we provide them with like tactile or kinesthetic stuff, like even, writing or drawing things or watching videos, seeing visuals. So try to utilize that whenever possible for your for the areas of confusion, and you'll see what, since you had so much that you thought like, okay, well, I don't remember this, like you're going to see it when you're studying and reading through this, so you will know those things. You're not going to miss the same things that you missed last time, I guarantee it.
Yeah, and where you said about the standards and the TEKS, so the TEKS, when I read them, it's basically going to be just like a undersurface thing, right? It's just going to say something like what we were looking over earlier, like it's just seeing what I need to study, basically the TEKS.
Right, because it's what the students have to do. It's what the students are responsible for doing. I have to go to 33. Hold on, let me see. Uh, 33. So communication application. So like one of the things for the students, and remember, each of them, they're going to have particular skills. So there's a sort of, I think they call them strands, a strand for rhetoric, a strand for speech forms, a strand for invention, strand for organization, a strand for proofs and appeals, a strand for style, a strand for delivery, and a strand for evaluation. And within those strands, there are particular goals that the students need to achieve. So if we'll take a look at invention, where did it go? I skipped it or what? Rhetoric. Analyze the ethical responsibilities that accompany freedom of speech. Like literally, man, a lot of people need to revise and reread this. Just adults need to relearn this. Speech forms, identify and analyze traditional elements of speech forms, including introduction, body, conclusion, invention. Identify and analyze the audience and occasion as a basis for choosing speech strategy. So like what particular strategies are you going to use based on your audience, right? Know your audience. So I have to go, but I think that you're going to do well. Try to, whenever you find things that like need more discussion, use your mometrics to fill in those gaps of knowledge.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.